Hi. Hi guys. Sorry, a little bit technically issues that actually I'm still trying to find the space. So I'm still looking around and try to see where the studio space is. And you can see now I'm actually in the ADC art space building. And this is actually the floor where the ADC art space is. And let me try to find out where Beatrix is. So Beatrix studio is in Wong Chuk Hang, and on this floor is specifically sponsored by ADC. Are roots, and I'm trying to find Beatrix. Stay with me. Beatrix. Beatrix. Oh, there are a few other space. Hello, Beatrix. Hello. I'm finally here now. No, not hard to find. Just takes me some time. So, hi, Beatrix. So this is the studio space of Beatrix. So as you can see, there are a lot of tours and a lot of scenes already prepared on the table, well laid out. And yeah, these are quite a big collection. You can see.
Yeah, there are different kind of materials. So they're not just they are scenes from the last year, the protest scenes, and then there are some from the Cleary's libraries. Those are the vintage scenes that were published in the 80s, 90s. And also there are some of my current works and which are published under Small Press.
Yeah, so since my understanding of Beatrice is all about scenes, it might be wrong. My impression might be wrong, but yeah. So I know that Beatrice do many other stuff as well, apart from publishing. So shall we chat more about what did you do, or what do you usually do apart from publishing?
Okay.
And maybe let us know more about your background.
Sure. So you want to?
Shall we?
Here, or?
Yeah, maybe let's go back to the screen, and then we will switch.
Do you want to know a little bit about the space? Because you were here.
Yeah, it's my second time here, but oops.
Come and have a little more. So I would like to explain a little bit about the space, because my studio and the others, we're going to be here until October. And the reason is this is a part of the organising program run by the Art Development Council. And so that is a 6 years project. And so from 2015 to 2020, which is this year, this project will be ended. And so unfortunately, all of the studio, this floor will be not on for this year. So yeah, so this is ladies. Sorry.
It's
right.
Yeah.
So the whole floor, as you can see, is like a butterfly. So it's the left and the right, and there are totally 17 studios. So most of the artists here, they are working on different disciplines like new media and photographers, installation artists, and writers, and who else? They are independent filmmakers who are somebody making the sound and music.
Another, hello, other studio mate.
People they usually they are not full-time artists. They will be come here after work. So it's one of our mates here. And, yeah, so most of the time, especially during the night, we see more often with other people around.
Yeah, so probably we will see more people coming in and out during our studio visit.
Probably.
Yeah, it's such a big family. I didn't know there are 17 studio space on one floor. Great. So shall we?
Let's come back to my space, or maybe I'll talk a little bit of.
Yeah.
It's very hot today.
Tell me about it. I'm sweating now. Okay, guys, I'm gonna switch to another screen to continue our discussion with Beatrice. So stay with me. I'll turn on another screen just in a second. So, welcome back, everyone. So we are still in the studio. Oh, sorry, it's me, but actually, it's here, and I just want to share a screen with you guys, which is about Beatrice, because as I mentioned earlier, because my understanding of Beatrice is mainly focused on her participation in Small Toon Press and her participation in the Zine Co-op, ZINECOOP. So I pronounced it wrongly before as well. It was really awkward as well. But
I have to clarify a bit of the pronouns that you just used. So I prefer they, them. So yeah,
sorry.
Just that you know.
So they is Beatrice. Welcome. So yeah, so I just wondering can you tell us more about your background? Because I guess my understanding of you is mainly from your zine publishing activities in the recent years, and especially your involvement in
Or artist book? Particularly zine.
Particularly zines. So, or artist book, as you just mentioned. Shall we talk about what's the difference between artist book and zine first? Or you want to tell us more about your background first?
Okay.
Up to you.
Up to me. Okay. Wow, it seems like a long story of where I come from, because I feel like I have been living for too long. Suddenly, just trying to go back from my studying days. Okay, so I started with photography, studying photography and design in Polytechnic University. And okay, so maybe we can look at some. Okay, this is where I started photography and design. And I think not many, except my close friend or people who grew up with me together, like my ex-class schoolmates, who we study photography together. I guess not many people know about where I come from, or maybe most of you know that I'm doing publishing or something with printer matters. But before all of these happened, I have not studied anything about print or printing or screen print or specifically print as technique, and then not particular publishing. I'm not a professional editor. So, but from what I have studied, I have I have come across the skills that needed me to edit. Those are photographs, those are stories. And so I started with learning design in Polytechnic. So those are the very basic knowledge that I can learn of ways of seeing colors and forms and, you know, all these very basic techniques that is about aesthetics, you know,
about image,
and art, and
like
yeah, like how things should be look and yeah, or designed in a certain way. And so after that, I took my bachelor's study in photography, in specifically, and I mean, I wanted to continue pursuing my study in graphic design, but that time the school was very competitive with the design with the graphic design department.
Yeah.
So my second choice was photography. And to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, they are two-dimensional and there are stories on the image, not just things that I have to draw, but with the image that are taken by cameras, there's another story. And I believe there are more theories behind like an image, what is behind that. So I started to get curious of, okay, I wanted to know more like what's going on with photography. And so, but that time I wasn't thinking about to pursue a career as photographer or, you know, like just maybe a journalist or just, but I just purely wanted to learn about photography in theoretical way or this technical way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can following like in the following images I can show you like where like my previous works. Those are many years ago. I have to remark, but I mean those works are like works that I really like and also they kind of resonates of what I'm doing right now. And when I look back, like because of this occasion, meeting you guys, and it's been quite a long time, and especially during this period of quarantine, like everybody just locked into the indoor a lot, and it is actually quite a good time for me to just, you know, looking at my stuff, what I've been like, what I have done before, and
yeah, I guess
you know, like
during this
how
period
to,
of time, many people have like kind of like a flashback of like what they've done in previous years, or like they would like reflect on like their like growth or development during the years. So I'm still like eager to see like what are your previous works like.
Okay, so when I look at my previous work now, I think I'm quite like a storyteller, but the storytelling, the way of storytelling is more like with a fragmented frames. So with photography, it's a really good tool for me to tell my story. Just like, for instance, this image here has been showing quite a minute already, but it is actually a story about like how I think about love or relationship between two persons. Just put a guy and a girl together, but sometimes the way how you express your love or your care is, especially in the city, you really need a lot of space for each other. And so with this story, I was just thinking about like, okay, our relationship is the last breath connect us. So that's why these two persons have to take the mask. Right. And that's somehow synchronized.
Yeah, I was looking at this and I was like, how come it? And it's in Causeway Bay as well, like
right,
in the streets as well.
Right?
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, is it a work from last year or like no?
No, but I'm kind of surprised. Like when I look at my previous work, actually, what my ideas had been delivered that time. That somehow after 10 or like almost 10 years, or a little bit more, that things keep that when you thought about that time. Like, oh, okay, I want to realize it with my art, and then okay, I did it, and you never thought that after 10 years and these images really happen in reality, right? Yeah. And yeah, so anyway, I really like this work, and things have been changed a lot, and okay, this is another project that is I like to explore conceptual ideas. So these are the ideas that I kind of developed from that time when I just started to use Photoshop. You know, Photoshop the strongest tool is how you could learn to do cut and paste, copy and paste, right? But when I learned photography, to me it's quite an irritated idea of, okay, so with this, because with photograph we believe everything we capture is a representation of reality, right, of what is in front of us.
Yeah.
So when it comes to digital modification, I was like, wow, that's strange, because things can be very easily to manipulate and then reconstruct, and so I that time I kind of having this feeling that not so comfortable, because I truly believe that
the photograph itself already speaks in a way for that itself.
Yeah,
probably.
right. Like, I mean, it's just a different media. So then I thought of this project, like an idea of kind of making an irony of try to put it in a more extreme way, that, okay, if we only look at the image, we don't feel any hurt or any affect ourselves, because it's just an image, right? But the concept behind it, I think, to me, is a kind of problematic. Even though now, right, people, they still fascinated of how to retouch like skin, or like making bigger eye, or like I mean, a lot about the body, right? So I mean, since 10 years, I mean, to now, it doesn't really change a lot. Like people still, they have this image and this idea of how to become like a better person, or the person that we fantasize of being. So with this photographs, I was just trying to use a performance. Like, I mean, after this project, from one to the other, I think I pretty much enjoy putting performative action into your photograph. So I that's obviously is me, and I was, I mean, it's an idea of how you interpret cut and paste. Like, I cut a piece of my flesh, and then it's, you can see like on the cutting board, and then from the cutting board you can see it's on the apple. I mean, things doesn't make sense. They all look absurd. But that's the meaning I wanted to deliver to the viewer, like how absurd that it could be.
That it could be modified, and the way it is modified, and the result of it when you see it.
So and then the other, like, is like a more like a ghost that I imagine myself, like, because when I look at the image, everything seems being trapped or fixed on the photograph, because we're all still, like, no matter like a tree or a person or objects, right? Like, everything are fixed on the image. So I become a photograph myself, like I become an object. Like, I just try to think a little bit out of the box, like, okay, what if the image in photograph can escape? So this is an image that,
when you're experimenting,
it's more experimental project to me. And I remember I was trying to find, like, very difficult to find a background which is just white, just, so something like that. So that image was taken at the parking lot near where I live, like very high ceiling and white. Is quite difficult. And okay, so I don't go through everything in detail, but just an impression for you guys to look at, like, how I use, like, storytelling of applying in my photographs. And again, this mass image is I took it around the time in SARS. And this when the COVID-19 happened, I actually thought about this
work again.
Because when you see these two images, they are represented for the same person, so they're same
the portrait,
right? The portrait
is actually showing the same, like, girl,
right on the right hand side,
on here,
right.
You can see my cursor. Actually, they're the same,
right, the same person. But I try to put it like more, as more in contrast with people who are wrapped up a lot by hats, by earphone, by mask, by clothes, like being totally wrapped by all of these. And then another image is, I'm free. I mean, of course, like, maybe our daily ladies would be naked, but anyway, it's just to show, like, how release this person would feel like, and when everything's taken off.
Mm.
So that image comes from, I mean, the idea behind this photograph is when I look at everyone in the city during SARS, I think just exactly that now, you know, everybody that's so, I mean, today they're much more, because the virus is much more fierce than the SARS. So including your eyes, you have to put the goggles,
glasses,
right? And then everything, but probably someone will have to put
wear
on
the gloves.
Right? So it's just about like how much you feel you're insecure, and how much it's a lot to load on someone, like when when we confronted with the disease.
Yeah.
So this is just a photograph I wanted to show, like at that time, and how much discomfort that everyone, and how did I see when I go to the street or in public transport, how do I see everyone reacts, like, I mean, everyone is like really trying to protect, you know, like it shows from the body gesture. So not just from like how they try to cover up, but at the same time the body language that like people can see. So so there are sequential images, like I really enjoy to like trying to build up the story by sequence, and sometimes I trying to put words on photographs. And so after it's been like some years of time of learning photographs, after that study in PolyU, I was studying in Norway, and that is an occasion for me to think further of what is the lens-based media, like what is image. Like, okay, I've been learning for such a long time of still image, but when I think of the time and the space, I think I cannot avoid that there's a duration. When I think about it, I think just one single frame is not enough for me to tell story. So with my study in Norway, I was slowly develop my thesis from still image to moving image, and that period of time, it was like a 2-year study. I did a lot of video work, from testing or experimenting between the still image to
a duration.
Like a more. So, but my video work, when you look at the first sight, it really looks like just a still image, because it's pretty like well framed, like almost like how I did a photograph. But when you take a little bit longer time, you would notice, there are some things moving. You know, there's like this. So it's like a gradual kind of movement, right? And everything captured in the real time. So no one acts in my video, like. So you're always capturing the reality or like daily life. Yeah, because to me, working with narrative, like those, I was trying to build up the storyboard, and then to capture those from the real time, they work differently to me, because that is just an observation of a certain amount of time to gaze, to look at landscape, or looking at like just like slight movement or something happening. And I think that's the movement can really tell like why space and time matter, because the movement is not dramatic, but it happened. So it's like when it's almost like we breathe, right? Like we breathe like up and down and in and out, but then we're living, we're alive because we're breathing. So I think that's kind of like a minimal takeoff from photograph to moving image. And okay, this is I guess some of our friends, they probably can guess where is this place is. This is the what's it called? Okay, this is when I did this performance. I think sometimes I enjoy doing performance and trying to be make a little bit joke when I perform, like trying to be someone in like kind of playing the role game of acting someone in the society. So this time I
taking up different identities, I guess. Like
so,
role playing.
Right. So this time I was invited by Bhutan. That was the, what's it called? 之前呢個叫咩？壁波 art， 英文叫咩？ CCD Green Wave.
Green Wave Art. Sorry, like so where this happened is at Green Wave Art.
Right.
It was like previously at Prince Edward. Oh, Yamate. Sorry, at Yamate. A space,
independent art space.
An independent art space.
Mostly like from one generation to the other, which they try to focus on community art.
Yeah.
So I think with this project I did before was I think that works well with this proper space like this,
because it's a shop front, right? I remember
so
they have a very big
right.
shop front area. So your performance was over there at that time when you were exploring and experimenting with like different medium from photograph to video, moving image, and adding performative act in it as well. So next, how it evolved then?
So yeah, another performance that was not taking place in Hong Kong, but was in Portland in America, and I was with Mass, which looks familiar to nowadays, like when you probably we'll see in the protest. But that time it has nothing to do with protest. It was just from, again, when I wanted to tell a story that not with my face, like I just wanted to have a character that I can create, and that character can tell story instead of me, Beatrix Pang, to tell the story. So I think to me, when this project happened in abroad, abroad, I think that somehow that my identity can be kind of hidden behind that character. Because the first thing is when I think about, okay, who I am in this place, who I am, like I'm just a stranger. I don't live here, and I'm colored, obviously, I mean, in that country. So if I want to do anything, people will see me in a kind of strange or exotic way. Like they have a preconception of, oh, this is Asian, or this is Chinese, So I try not to be
you try to take
like,
out all these pre-assumptions from people when they first see an image or when they first see a person.
I think because maybe my project that time was not particularly wanted to focus on, I'm not exploring the subject about identity or racism or racial, like this subject. So I try not to like confuse the viewer or also the participant who will be in my project. So yeah, this bear is, I mean, it could be anything, just something that is kind of neutral or easy to take on, to recognize, oh, this is a bear. I mean, why it looks white face or why it's not like teddy bear, or I mean, it doesn't matter. So anyway, so it was like a project about I collect the stories from the local residents. So that was, and with performance, how I was putting a stance on the street, and then how I approached to the locals to did an interview. And then after that, I think this was my first time to apply the printed matter in my project. I mean, because of the whole recording, there are a lot of material, not just sound, not just the verbal, the audio material, but also what they have. I mean, something that I think to me is important to document it and to show present in another media. So I think making a print like this, almost like a newspaper, right? That I think it works. And also when I translated, I mean, I did the transcript of this project, that the grammar is not correct because to me it's like that's how I encounter the difference or the cultural difference, because I'm not a fluent English speaker in terms of that. So what everything I heard was not exactly, and also with everyone there, they have different accents. So I found it pretty interesting. So I just directly transcribed what I heard maybe they're wrong, but I don't care. Just okay, what they heard and what I misunderstand. So yeah, I think sometimes it's fun to, you know, like you sometimes if you lost in translation.
You found more fun in the lost word or in how you interpret their stories as well, because you might have another like view or perspective, or even different like story comes up from the original story as well. And did you like show it in an exhibition, or is it for distribution when you print it?
Sorry, you mean this one?
Yeah, because that's the first time you have it on a printed kind of format.
Yeah, that time it was because this was an artist in residence project. So after we stay there and then we make work and then we have to present in that local gallery in Portland, and also afterward bring back to Hong Kong to present in Hong Kong. So this newsprint kind of object, I was just produced one for the exhibition. So it was not like a widely circulated prints. And yeah, these are like
some other projects that you were on.
Yeah, with performance and with a collective. So that is something that collective is also in my head, like how I work with other people in a project, not just me, but how I can engage with artists who are from different disciplines. Like someone is photographer, someone is musician, someone is painter, and someone is the installation artist. You know, like how can I mean, that's obviously it's a little bit more just I create a work, but I engage
collaborate with other.
Collaborate and curatorial, I think. Yeah, because to me is there is a certain vision that an aesthetic that comes from these people that I want, with their help, with their piece together, it is a completed work. So yeah, and I think that's somehow affected me, like now, like when I started with ZINECOOP or Queries Library, like those are the wishes that I had planted that time, I guess. Like I think the whole process of creative growth shouldn't be alone. So
yeah. I mean, you slowly, like gradually throughout your like experience, you find out a way that how you would like to do your creation or how you would like to approach it. And then, so
yeah, so
started to have some printing methods really printed out and distribute. So is it the first printed methods that really distribute like kind of across?
So that my first formal and decent published work, even though it's not just my work complete of myself, like, but it is a magazine that I wanted to, because I was always thinking about when I learned photography, I knew that I don't want to be a photographer that to make work put on the wall. You know, like I know that I'm not that kind of artist. I mean, I appreciate everyone doing this, but I think I'm just not that kind of artist. Like take a very beautiful photograph and frame it so nice and then put on the wall. I think to me it's just not enough of printing just a limited amount of print and put on the wall and being exhibited in different galleries and being bought by someone. So I think the whole process just doesn't really
suit your character, or how you
like how I think the medium itself or the messages itself could be delivered. So to me, learning photography that it inspires me a lot is because photograph, I mean, compared to painting or anything that just first-hand drawn by someone, photograph can be multiplied. You know, it can be reproduced many as you wish.
Yeah.
And when the process of reproduction, the image not just on your hand, but on many other people's hands. And also in our time with internet, like with the help of internet, your image can be you know, like widely
Easily.
spread, go all around the world. So I think that's the power of image at some point, like put aside the internet, but because of the advantage of reproduction. So to me, I think what is powerful to image is because it can multiply. And so I think, hey, with this, I think the photograph itself can tell more stories than, you know, can be more, have more circulation than just being framed in one place and being seen by one time, you know, like a limited of time and space. And so I was always thinking about how to make use of photograph the way that, you know, can apply to a more diverse way. And I think making publications is a way, is one of the way. And I think to me, how I believe that I'm still doing now is, to make books or, you know, publications, big or small. So it's in the book, it's just not about, you put one image, but you can put a lot of image, not just image, but you can put text, you know, like all those different kinds of ingredients or elements you could put into one publication. And I think this form is amazing. So, and the reason of starting a publication, like a periodical with, at that time was with my ex schoolmate who we studied photography together. And and we thought that, okay, after we finish our study, and then unfortunately that time the school was closed. Like, it means there will be no higher education of photography anymore. Like, we were the last generation, like we're the last breed of that.
Under that college.
Right.
Okay.
So after that, there were, because our professor was retired. So just, I mean, just a different generation. And the school has changed to another system. And so not just you took one subject and then for 3 years, but you take several different subjects and then you add up a certain, say for certain credit, and then you graduate. So it's very different way of learning process. And so when I graduated after a few years, 2-3 years, and I caught up with my friend, and she was also enthusiast on taking photographs, and she did she did photograph for magazines, for like lifestyle magazine or fashion magazine. So she has more knowledge than me of how to, you know, and she's very good on writing. So she has better idea of what is editorial.
What are the elements that
Right.
is key in a photography magazine or in a book situation. So
do you want to have a look of the magazine?
yeah, we could. Shall we?
You want to
Shall I
get
just
some?
grab it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks. Yay.
Yay.
So that's the real one. It's about like A4, a bit wider. And
Shall we?
because
Let me-
this was published in 2010, and if anyone wanted to read it, you can definitely go to check out at Asia Art Archive.
Oh, so there's a copy at the Asia Art
we
Archive
have donated
Library.
copies to Asia Archive, so everyone can go to take a look. And
So here, there's like center pages as well.
I think we very much enjoy how explore the possibility of how to make our first book. You know, like from what we have learned in the school before and what we have learned, you know, when we are working on photography. And there are a lot of things that you can see how the direction or what we have inspired and what kind of method that we learned from so-called the academic background. Like it's not a pop magazine. It's not selling fashion or there are a lot of word text. You know, it's really text-based. And because this magazine is, we define it as like an art journal. So we will invite people who are critics and curators who can contribute their writings for us, and especially on discussing a piece of photography work or
Okay, I'll let, like, if anyone interested, it's available at Asia Art Archive to have a look.
So not just this issue,
not just this issue, but actually there's like a whole series, right? So, or else you could actually visit Beatrix in person if you're lucky in Hong Kong enough. So shall we continue the discussion on your development? How you started Small Tune Press, because I think after you publishing the this photo magazine, you really think about how to really broaden the distribution, or like how to present your work in a very different way. That's why you started Small Tune Press. Could you tell us maybe a little bit more about why you started Small Tune Press?
Sure. In the process of making producing the Collect magazine, I think with my schoolmates, we kind of developed a kind of different way of how we imagine publication could be, especially independent publication. And because we had came across some argument, and I mean, in a good way, of course, but how we can sustain ourselves, how we could sustain making the next one. And so it's not just the indulgence of, oh, we want to make a book and that's it. And that's, yeah, we'll make a great piece and then we can retire. You know, it's not that kind of story. But because for us, it costs a lot of so much energy and time of making just one issue. And for Collect, that time we decided to just make 2 issues for 1 year. What's it called?
Biannual.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when we started to collect all the ingredients for the first issue, we realized, wow, it's such a massive work. And not just me and my schoolmate, but also we have to outreach to other people who, you know, like their contributors.
And the contributors and through your like communication.
And then you have to take time to, you know, allow they can have enough time to write.
And there's only the 2 of you to do all.
Yeah, basically
putting it all together.
I believe nowadays there are a lot of amazing publications that are only done by 2 or very limited. Like very small team and resources, but that I think to us is a very precious experience of that we when we work on a project that we really like and we really want to put forward. But what are the problems that you encounter when when you just make a book? I mean, everyone said, oh, it's just make a book, so not a big deal. But I mean, it is such a engineer. It's almost like how you build a house. Yeah. Because at the end of time, you only see just one building, right? But you never see, okay, how everything in the building, how all the details are being like thought about, or right? Like process, like all the balance and why the building don't fall. You know, like nobody really seriously think about it. Yeah. But I think that's all the small details of how you make a thing. After all, and to us, after experience this, and when me and my schoolmate think about how do we want to move forward with independent publishing, and by taking this magazine, we found out it's kind of I think I wanted to pursue a direction that has less restricted by commercial. By someone would put advertisement in the publication, or and also there are a lot of things to concern of how you get money. Like either, for instance, when we did the publication, the Collect, we were trying to apply the Art Development Council, the grant, the publication grant, and of course, like everybody know I guess everybody, not just Hong Kong, but many of us who are working in the art industry, I feel like we all know that the time, the work that you put into doing an application is actually almost the same amount of work that you did.
You have to do your own
right?
work.
Like you have to invest so much time and energy on just put up a proposal and to submit and to apply a grant that you might not get, or maybe you get, but you get very little, like in terms of all the artists, like other competitors. So so when we think of how we get secure our the funds for making the next issue, and I think that time, and also how you imagine what is the possibility of independent publishing could be, and from that I was sadly that I fell well with the magazine and my the schoolmates, because I find that there are something that I think I shouldn't compromise, and I think when I started to the process of doing CLAC, I realized there are so much things I still have to learn on, for instance, how you could put up everything into one magazine or in one book together. Like you have to think about the content, you have to think about editing, and you need to know all this knowledge of choosing certain kind of paper, and what kind of printing you need to is
like binding,
you know,
like
all
there are many like decisions to be made.
And so for me, it's like, okay, I would like to learn, like give myself a lesson, like to take on from if I do it by myself. And I just take my time instead of taking CLAC together with me. I just want to take my time and to develop from there. And so after leaving CLAC and then I think almost 2 years, not 2 years, 1 year, 10 months, something like that. And then and then I started my own press, which is called Small Press. And the image that we saw on here on the red image, was the first publication under Small Press, which is an occasion, and I think this is a pretty good start of this book. Is kind of define what's my direction of, like, character, if not direction, but the character of Small Press, what it is. So when we think about artist book, we think of images, we think of visual elements, but there are many different kinds of artist books in the world. And I think with this ingredients, the context of my first book is about how it's talking about not just art, not just aesthetic, but we talk about things happening in the society, and that's cross-border. Like this one, the title means vanishing point, how to disappear in China without us trace. And the artist is a German artist, and she had published a lot of printed matters, not just this book, but other. And we encountered in Hong Kong in 2012 when she was artist in residency in Hong Kong. And when I visited her exhibition, I really liked her work, and we got a lot of talk about Hong Kong, China, and because of her experience, she had a lot of printed matter experience. So she kind of inspired me and encouraged me of just trying to think about further of after CLAC what I could do afterward, like with publishing. And so by her project, and she asked me if I want to publish this piece for her in Hong Kong, and because she needs someone as a Chinese could do the editing for her, and also she wanted this book can be published within the area of China. And publish a book in China is not an easy thing, right? And I think just because Hong Kong, we're still free enough to make a publication like this. And when everyone can see this title, I don't think, it would be very underground, like very underground. If it will publish in China. yeah, if nobody got caught. So when this book published, I have to say it was not highly profile, like how to say, like I didn't make a lot of motion because of, I know there's certain sensitivity, and I don't talk about censorship, but yeah, I think there's certain sensitivity that in the content, like how people read it, how yeah, but I think that wonders, that danger, so-called, it is a good way for looking at this book, because then you will think about, how can Chinese people disappear in China? Can they? You know, or how?
I wonder, like,
right?
yeah, I wonder, like, the method or like things that has been discussed in the book, would it still apply nowadays, or like if maybe people would be very interested to know how to do it as well, especially in the contest now. But yeah, let's shall we like talk more about your other work as well before, because I think we are slowly getting into like zine publishing and like artist book publishing, but
we have not yet been into zine.
We haven't even looked at the zines
time
yet.
Is it? Are we going?
Don't worry, like yeah, it's 10 now, but I think we should like maybe at least talk one or two
current, or like what I've been like besides Small Press, because to me Small Press is, I as I said, I take time for this project, or this working on this press. Right now, when everyone asks me, are you doing full time? I was like, I think I do. Because first, I'm not hired by anyone, and I have commission project, but most of them are also working with books, publications, editorial design, you know, like with the same medium. I think I'm lucky enough to have all these chances that I encountered, and so I can say, I work full time with Small Press, and I think to me, doing the publishing, even though right now it's like I started in 2012, and almost 8 years. That's crazy.
8 years now.
No. How many books I have published? Okay, these are an overview of books that I have published. I mean, there are more from this image, but just those are a little bit earlier work in the early stage in starting with Small Press. And I think with me, because I as I said, I'm learning, and I'm still learning on what is publishing and what kind of books. To me, it's not just about like, I didn't fix myself off because of my background that I have to work on photography book, like a photo book or photo scene or anything that comes with photography. Like, I didn't try to fix myself, even though I tried to do a little bit research of, why not? And then I found out, this is really another level of things, like maybe not level, but I mean, to publish photo book is a very specific genre.
Yeah.
And it's almost like anyone collected cameras, that either you collect something that is very high end, or you just play a point and shoot camera. You know, there's not much in between. I mean, there are a lot of in between, but I mean, those in between are just, I don't know how to say, but because the fact is, to print photo book, it costs a lot of money. Yeah. Because you have to think about, if you're not
paper requirement,
right, even though you just wanted to print black and white, like I just did a photo scene recently, but when you want to print a decent black and white image, it's not just you use black. You know, it's just not just you go to the photocopy shop. It's like, okay, I want a black and white. No, it's not like that. You know, on printing, if you want to have a better representation of the image on print, just black is not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you could add,
and the texture as well. It's like there are a lot of rules like underneath how you would make a photo book.
Right.
And
so anyway, the cost, it means everything you have to go with full color, means CMYK for sure, or maybe sometimes with spot color, like a special color, like Pantone, if someone understands. And yeah, so it's cost a lot on printing photo book. And then for selling, it is taking a long time to sell photo book. Because with photography, it's just very specific. There's so many different kind of category in photography, like something could be landscape, portrait, and then with these there are different subjects, right? And so you like this, if you met a reader who is just very specific on nude picture, but somehow your work doesn't have any nude picture, so you are not in the list, right?
yeah.
So something like that. Either you have to be very specific on thinking
Specific
about who are the
audience,
so-called the collectors, people who would buy photo book, or who like to see certain kind of images. Yeah, either you do it in a very specific way or not, then yeah, it would be quite time consuming to my understanding, like my observation would be.
Yeah.
So, and I have to be honest, I mean, even though I came from that background, but with my personal interests, it's not just about photography. I still have different interests on other different topics, and I wanted to work not just with photography, but different kind of people when I work with publishing. So yeah, I didn't try to fix myself on only doing photo book, but just like the first one, everything in text about China, and then the next one is for poetry, and I just try to open up like what are the possibility when it comes to like who are the users. Like, I mean, users mean who wants to make book, like who are these people. Someone like the German artist wanted to just print a book with all the text for Chinese people, and this book has no translation. And then the other one just make a small sketches about trees and write some poems about lovers and, you know, personal feelings about the city, and, you know, like just very ephemeral piece of work and just very delicate piece of work. And someone wanted to publish their publications, like, you know, this, not a book like that, but maybe just 20 pages, you know. And someone like just a young photographer who has no exhibition, who has no like not a long history of his art career, but he wanted to have a collection of showing to people, hey, these are my work. It's not a portfolio, but it's a series of my work about my certain period of time, of my observation, you know, just a very small piece of things that about me, about my world, ways of seeing. Yeah. So a friend of mine just happened afterward become friends, and who is a photographer, young photographer, just moved back to Hong Kong, and he wanted to make a book like that. And yeah, so I think I really very, like, during the whole process for the previous years, every step takes slow, but every step and all the friendship I made are precious. Yeah. And because of making the book, because of joining, like, we put up the journey together. Yeah. You know more about the story of other people,
Do you think you've created like a bigger community, kind of like in the Hong Kong kind of scene? Like, look back in 8 years before and now, do you feel like the people who are interested in making scene or photo book, or not photo book, sorry, scene or artist book or art book, do you think there's like it really increases during these years? And
you mean the demand of making this kind of book?
Yeah, I mean the user that you mentioned, that people are more eager to make their own books now, because like I think it has a very prestigious, as you mentioned, like making a photo book or doing publishing is very prestigious because you need the resources, you need to find the right person to do editing, to do the whole design, to print it, find the right, like, really sponsor to do it in the very, like, not traditional way, but the commercial way, or the more like non-independently, but in your collaboration, these are very independent way of like doing. So do you feel like it has changed, like kind of the atmosphere or the phenomenon
in Hong Kong? Yeah, there are change, but still not enough. I mean, not enough is nothing ever been enough. But I just mean that I found out the reason behind of not enough is because one part in the process is missing, which is we didn't really have we didn't really have a serious education about how you learn art publication, or how to make it, how you appreciate it, and what are these, and how we could use it. You know, we don't have this kind of knowledge that we could learn from our local education. I mean, art college, art school. We still not yet have.
Yeah.
So people, they know
it's like still
pieces.
missing.
Yeah. And I think education is very important, especially for someone who decided, hey, I wanted to learn, just focus on learning art. You know, like in terms of all kinds of different, like I wanted to be a curator, I wanted to, you know, a practicing artist. What kind of media I wanted to use, not just, I mean, nowadays there are many different kind of mediums we could use. Someone use internet, you know, like sculpture, you know, we enjoy all these medium, but I think just one part on printing, not just screen printing, not just photography, not just drawing, but printing on as a print matter is missing in our education. So as an artist, we only limited ourselves on learning the process, making an end product, something that could put on the wall, and that's it. And the next step, when we think of how we could make a art book or an artist portfolio or artist catalog, we don't know how to do it. And then we pass all these ingredients to someone, to the gallery, to the curator, to an art space, and then to them, and then they assign a professional designer or someone not professional or anyone that have the design knowledge to do it for you. And I think it's just not enough to be an artist like that. It's just, we need to learn more about how we could print our work, like not just the time we paint it, not just the time we take a photograph, but how you could reproduce the image and make it as a printed matter. I think the printed matter is very important.
And it makes it more accessible in a way as well, because like you could distribute it and then you could share it, and even go beyond like locally, you could share it in overseas as well.
I think that's the very first day when I think about how did I learn other artists, like international artists, like all these names, like famous name photographer, Nine Golden, Wolfgang Tillman, Frank, Robert Frank, you know, all these wonderful artists. How did I learn about their work? I mean, I never could have a chance to fly to somewhere to see the exhibition. I mean, and then their work eventually didn't really show in Hong Kong. I mean, just there was not the H Queens, or there was not M Plus or Parasite, or, you know, there are not these places that could allow all these big names come to Hong Kong. So all I could learn and see their work up just from reading the artist book. I mean, so I think that experience is very important. And the same to me, like when I think about, this is the process I learned about other people, like other artists' work. So what about Hong Kong artists' work? Can they be seen by, you know, people who are somewhere in Brazil or in, I don't know, from somewhere like Turkey? Can they access our work? Can they know anyone from Hong Kong that make what kind of art? You know, I think it's like a way of exchange as well. It's very important. It's very important to get our work out there. And just, it doesn't matter, it's a small book, big book, or whatever, but just print something, put it out there, let people know about it, for free, for cost, for anything.
Mm.
I think the whole process of distributing, circulating is very important.
Yeah.
And it's not just about Hong Kong. And I think
it goes beyond as well.
Right.
Just like, I think it reminds me of a recent project that you worked on, because because of the recent political movement in Hong Kong, that we can see there's an increase of people using zine as a way of expressing their idea or the emotion or feeling towards the political movement. And then you can see there's so many different scenes or artists book where the theme is surrounding this this movement. So I think we can share another PDF. Just a second. Let me open it up first, because I think, I'm not sure if everyone have heard about Freedom High, or
I mean, Freedom High as not the name of the
sorry. Yeah, but yeah. So I think Yep. So so I remember there was an exhibition called Tiger Freedom High, arranged by the ZINECOOP. And then it just is a showcase of all, not all, but most of the scenes that surface during these time that we see because of the political movement. And it traveled across beyond Hong Kong to many other cities as well. I think it's beyond around 17, probably more than that as well, as time passed. But at the same time, I think it's so important that these circulate to different cities, so that it's kind of a witness, but at the same time a platform to share how Hong Kong people through these scenes to share the feelings, how they witness the movement, or how they're reflecting on this. So do you want to talk a little bit more about this as well?
Okay, so Celia just mentioned about ZINECOOP, and maybe from here I could just briefly introduce what ZINECOOP is. So ZINECOOP is I founded this with a couple of my friends who are also with a background of design and artists and writers, and so we come from different disciplines, and we met each other for several years, and during these few years we all are very interested on independent publishing, not just zine, but mostly about zine. And then also we collect it, and then we make our zines or books or printed matter. And so in terms of skills and knowledge and vision, we could all share in the same ground. And for us, after some years, we found out, hey, do you think among the people are only us? I mean, we also wanted to know if there are more people in Hong Kong that they probably similar as us. They make their own publications, but they never share. They don't know where to share, or they don't know who are similar as them. So at that point, we thought, maybe in order to get people to see what they're doing, not just themselves, but other people's stuff, why not just we create a platform? And so it's when people come in a group, you see more obvious, you see more clearly, because you're a group, right? So by this occasion, we on 2017, few of us, we just get together and started ZINECOOP as a non-profit making, and as a non-profit making group.
And I know that from your Instagram, you usually not promote, but let everyone knows, the followers know that what are the scenes recently published and available, and so that people are aware of what's happening.
Shall we go?
Shall we share another? We will show another Instagram page, which is about. Let me close it first. Sorry. Yeah.
You got it.
So. Yeah. So this is actually the Instagram page of ZINECOOP. And you can see like the pages that like every post is kind of a introduction on like one scene and like I didn't know there are so many scenes, to be honest. Like I
didn't know too.
Maybe I'm really ignorant, but I just started to get to know so much about it, because like when I go to more independent bookstore, you can see now they have like
in
a
Hong
specific
Kong, you mean?
Yeah, in Hong Kong you can see now like overseas as well, but at the same time in Hong Kong previous years I don't see so many small scenes or like artist book in independent bookstore. Like usually maybe there's like a small table with it, but now it's like a corner of it that you could spend hours in it. But like to me previously I don't see that much. And at the same time, like even if there's such.
Sorry, but when was your first, like when you said previously, about approximately like how long ago, like in your experience?
I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. I mean, it's just in my limited experience as well. But
that's countable because I think that's, I mean, as you are the reader, and I think it's important like how you could assess these kind of publications, right?
Yeah, because
like if you don't see it, even though it's already in the independent bookstore, but you still can see it, which means the platform is still not yet there, right? Or disease not being distributed to that place.
But at the same time, I find this platform really like fascinating, because like apart from the books that I can see from the bookstore, I can see more, and even those that maybe not distribute in the bookstore, because for some artists or distribute or the maker, maybe they are just making a very limited number just to share
many of them
with friends or close friends as well, or family. But then like from this platform, I could really see, oh, like there are some other like scenes happening here that I don't know.
Yeah, I think for ZINECOOP, we never has a physical space, even though we created the platform. But I think nowadays, when we think about platform, we could, I mean, it doesn't have to be how to say touchable, like how to say, what's the name of it?
Visible, like physical, permanent space.
Yeah, or like a physical space, right? A platform could be a platform where people can come together, can exchange, can interact with each other. And in our days, with this kind of movement, it's
even harder. Yeah, I guess it's even harder because like when people are under quarantine, you cannot actually even go to a bookstore to check books out. But actually, from like now using these like platform, through this introduction, you could get to know about who are making it and like what are they making.
And especially when I talk about platform, we mean that what we wanted to do is shouldn't have, first, it shouldn't be costly. Means if you don't have resources, can you still do it? I think that's the first thing we think about. Okay, and second is what is the tools that has the most accessible power to access people from all around the world. And so we make a good use on Instagram, right? Since when we started, we opened an Instagram account as well as the Facebook account. And then we not yet, that time, like 2017, we didn't have the webpage yet, because if you make a webpage, you need to pay for the domain, you need to pay for the hosting. And then all of us, we didn't have the knowledge to build webpage, so we just skip it because we all do it besides our so-called main work, like the full-time job, or we do it because we wanted to do it and because this is our interest. And we want to do it for the sake of doing, like, for more people to learn about what zines is and what are the possibility of, is it possible that Hong Kong has its own zine culture? So these are what we question, and we kind of embrace it when we're doing it. And yeah, so that's the reason why we started our main, how to say, our platform on Instagram mainly to interact with our readers. So the way we didn't try to make it complicated, because it's always important to see what the work is about. So with all of our posts, we simply just introduce one scene every time, one scene in every post. We took some flat copy views so you could see what's inside the scene, and then we put a caption, like a small description that we wrote by ourselves. Most of the time they wrote by my partner, Forrest, who is a designer who we started ZINECOOP together. And sometimes I did it, sometimes we have other friends doing it. So we can't, because we are a very small group, so we kind of, each of us taking different responsibility on the small thing, so we could still capable on doing it and finishing it, and it's not a stress for us, and we enjoy doing it. So with Forrest, he enjoyed, I mean, he usually will post his own story, his own work on Facebook, Instagram. So with ZINECOOP, he doing the same kind of thing that he usually did. And I think he did a very good job on that. And just recently, he when we because of the quarantine period, like, we wanted to take this chance to tell people how to make their zines, and this is one of the posts we
it's like a guide,
right, like how you make a zine.
And it's available on Asia Art Archive as well, because, like, I think one of the artists that, like, we just had a previous artist with Oscar Chan. Then I think he just followed, I don't know if he followed the same guy, but he made a scene as well. I think, so it's very, like, usable, friendly, and it's easy to make in this in this difficult time.
What we introduced it through ZINECOOP by telling everyone how to make a scene is not original. I mean, I don't know who
created this method that, like, this is a sharing platform.
But it's the most whenever you tell people, there must be someone who never seen, never know, you can make a scene, like a small booklet
just from
with just one piece of paper and one cut. How to make it? So so we keep introduce to people, we keep talking about the same thing. We wanted as much as people know as possible. And so with ZINECOOP is we are coming to the third year now, and I think we will still keep working on our digital platform. And just recently it happened that we have a chance to open, like, a pop-up store in an art space in Hong Kong, with a corner that we could show our zines for sale, because a lot of people, they want, but after they see our Instagram page, they want to know if they can buy it. So besides we post it, by mail, right now we could have this outlet. We could show the real thing at our store, and people can just come and buy their zines. And also with this small corner, we try to make good use of not just sell, but to show the zines that we have been collected. And so when you look at this image here, this is maybe not. Here, this at the back, we will show yeah, we were showing the collection that Celia just mentioned, the Freedom High protest scenes that we have been collected since the beginning of the protest, which is June last year. And we didn't intend to collect at the beginning, but since with our platform, very often the zine maker, when they have mixed new zines, they will send a message to us and then say, hey, do you want to carry my zines, or can you introduce my zines on your platform? So just always like that. And just last year, it suddenly comes a lot of messages from people who had been in the protest, and they are designers, they are artists, they are a lot of people from different backgrounds, but it happened that they make their zines, they write their articles, and they want to put it in the printed matter. And they message us, they said, we wanted to, can you help us to distribute? So many of them, they didn't expect to sell. They didn't think of, oh, I made this and I want to sell it. They just want, through us, they want our help through our platform to introduce to more people about what they have experienced in the protest. And also they wanted to just distribute them as much as possible to people who have not knowing about much of what's going on in the protest, what's happening with this movement, why it's happened. And yeah, so gradually we became, like we created a small collection by receiving all these people who send us the scenes, the protest scenes. And so from June to the beginning of this year, the end of last year, so it's about half a year, that we have been collected about 60 scenes, different kind of sizes, different kind of pages, volumes, and many of them, they are willing to grant us a digital copy, like a digital format, a PDF, so that when you talk about like we can do the world tour of the Freedom High, just because we could easily send the scenes, the physical scenes. If not, we could just send the copy, because we have already been granted by the artist or the maker, the creator, who are willing to share their zines, the digital copy, to other people. So that's the reason why all of a sudden, in a very short time, the exhibition of the Freedom High protest scene could be accessed to many places in the world. And yeah, I think making zines nowadays is not just about physical copies, but you could make it by whatever, like by digital way, and you could just send it to people, and then when the people, they got it out there, they could just print it by themselves. And yeah, so I think with this process of working with Freedom High, we learned a lot on how we could access more material to people out there who are not in Hong Kong, who wanted to know more about what's happening. And I think after this movement, we kind of we find out people get used to it. They get used with sending their work, and then they print it by themselves. And it's not just being limited on, we have to receive the actual zines.
Actual craft,
right? The
physical,
maker. But they are willing to just, because it's not about how pretty you print it. For that protest scene, the meaning is not about how pretty it is, but it's about the message. It's about the movement. So so we are glad that we have done it, and we got a really very good receive responses from
the
exhibitions,
the audience.
So in the beginning of this year, January, it was our first time, like after the world tour. And then one thing is because we can send the digital file, so we don't, like as a person, we don't have to be there. there are like people who wanted to collaborate with us. They wanted to show what we've been showing and ask us for the permission of showing these materials. And so these people, some of them we knew them, some of them are new, and from that process we expand our network of knowing more about Hong Kong people who live abroad, Chinese Hong Kong students who study abroad, and they wanted to show to their classmate, their schoolmate, of what's happening in Hong Kong. So, and these are all we didn't expect at all, and yeah, we're amazed that with these zines, people, they are eager to exchange, to share their thoughts, and to use it as a tool and weapon of, just, I think, making a protest. We found that it could have many other ways, not just going to the street, but I think this way of distributing zines, circulating to each other, I think this is a revolution itself. So definitely, we're glad that this is happening, and we're glad that it happened in Hong Kong. We're glad that people in Hong Kong, they learn and they could do more, and that our message is important and it's powerful to let people in the world out there can hear us. And
So actually there's so much we can talk about and keep talking about. But I know that it's getting late now, because it's like
so
actually
last question you could ask.
or is there any question from the audience? Because like I've been asking questions and I feel bad. Like, so Chu Chang, thank you, Beatrix, for sharing so many works of yours. Such a surprising, the more conceptual pieces. I have another meeting to join. Oops. So sorry, I have to leave earlier. Such a nice visit. Have a nice evening. It was supposed to be a private message actually, but sorry about that. But like, I mean, is there any other like question from the audience, or like if you really want to see more scenes actually from in Beatrix Studio, you could
go to
go to Form Society in Samshui-Po. There's like that's the display that we were showing earlier that you could access.
But not right now, not these days, because these days the space has exhibition going on. It's also about the movement last year, but right now, because the space is kind of limited, so we couldn't be able to present enough of scenes to show to you guys. So but when the exhibition put down in end of June, we will put up the scenes again, and as how you saw in the picture in the image picture before. So it would be July, starting with July, and the shop opens every weekend, so Saturday and Sunday, and the rest of the day because we have to work, so we couldn't be there all the time, and so just be in mind to come every weekend.
And also, like, if you are more interested in finding out about like Small Toon Press, or like to follow maybe ZINECOOP Instagram, you could add like follow the Instagram page to stay tuned on the latest like projects or publication. And so thank you everyone for joining us today. And I hope, like, I really hope that the zine culture in Hong Kong could like continue to like flourish, and then more people will be more confident or like able to make their own zine one day.
I think with others. Okay, last thing I wanted to share with you guys, like before we is something that I have been written and recently my friend Forrest, he helped me to reintroduce again, like expose it for the public, because he thinks, hey, they're great, you actually make some good points for making zines, and we just share it now to people. And so these are like, I mean, for that time I had think about myself, like what scenes is like from my understanding, like without much references of someone telling me. I think the whole process I kind of exploring myself by what I have seen, what I've read, and how these scenes is represented, like how they presented to me. And so I can kind of come up with some points that how I see scenes what scene is. So you can see it's all about DIY, means do it by yourself, do it yourself. And it's all about you enjoy the process of do it yourself. And here, so, like I kind of, okay, what could be possible? Okay, what scene is? And can we enlarge it, or it's okay? People can read it like this. Okay.
Yeah, this is
okay. I mean, it's not a song, it's not a poem, but yeah, you pick one you like here.
wow.
Like,
scene is timeless. Because like I can see even scene is an artwork, to be honest, and as I see from your work, some of the topic or idea you're sharing in maybe more like earlier work in yours, even the first publication by Suzanne, the vanishing point, how to disappear in China, like it is so applicable and nowadays as well. Like maybe everyone wants to stay invisible because of the surveillance system, or because of the surveillance system and all the other like things happening nowadays as well. It is timeless that like something that it's just like books and it's like artwork, that something you read 10 years ago, when you read it again, when you see it again, when you feel it again, you've got a different perspective and you've got a different idea from it again, that you just it just keep on refreshing, I think. Yeah, so I'll pick timeless, but you have to share maybe one, at least one.
What?
One point that you want to share. I know these are all the points you want to share. Pick one.
Okay, pick one now.
Improvise? I don't know.
Did I write something like humble or something? No.
You could add
I
now.
think I could add, or everyone can contribute. I think zine is about to speak up, and that's the reason why it is independent and why it is important that if you not speak up, no one can represent you to speak, and no one can speak for you, and no one knows what is in your head. So I think zine has a intuition to allow anyone to speak up by themselves.
Yeah, no matter who you are, because the ability to make scene is it could be so simple.
Yeah, and to speak up is a human right.
Yeah,
everyone can speak up, like under circumstances of respect people, of course, but to speak up your mind, speak up your ideas. Yeah.
So thank you everyone again for joining us tonight and stay until this late. And thank you, Beatrix, for sharing with us. I know there are lots you haven't shared with us today as well, and we didn't get a chance.
Do the episode 2, second visit.
Yeah. So hopefully we could like do another second visit, or please really stay tuned on the Instagram page to continue to follow what Beatrix is doing. And thank you guys. Have a nice evening.
Oh, for anyone can anyone see it on the YouTube, right?
Yeah. So this will be available on YouTube channel and Vimeo later on. And so thank you everyone. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Lillian. Good night, everyone.